Early Breakfast with Rosie Wright on Times Radio with Personio, the all-in-one HR software solution that works for your business. Personio, everything starts with people.
16 minutes past 5. Now, unsurprisingly, HS2 makes the lead story for most of the papers. The Times says the Prime Minister brings the axe down on HS2 in the north. There's also a photograph of Kemi Badenoch, the business secretary, who told delegates at the Tory Party conference yesterday Britain is a country that sees people, not labels, and said Britain was the best country in which to be black. The Telegraph has this story that transgender women will be banned from female wards. Trans women will be banned from female hospital wards under the Health Secretary's plan to restore common sense to the NHS. Steve Barclay will be speaking today at the conference. And they've got a sort of a raucous, laughing picture of Liz Truss saying that she was the hot ticket of the conference yesterday. The Guardian says that the Prime Minister has been accused of cancelling the future with the climb down over HS2. There is also, I have to say, a fairly fantastic photograph of Helen Mirren, who is in shoulder-to-toe silver sequins, looking quite incredible with hair that looks like it's been crimped and then brushed out. So it's this kind of very dramatic, shocking blonde, stylish frizz style. I don't know if that's a terrible way of describing it, but it's sort of buoyant hair. But that's in Paris Fashion Week. She was at the L'Oreal show, and she's also on the front page of the Mail because it is quite a striking photograph. But the Mail's headline is Britain is the best country to be black in, says Kemi Badenoch, as I mentioned, also on the front page of the Times. We're looking at these stories with me now, and more is Andrew Eborn, the barrister, broadcaster and futurist. Andrew, good morning.
Good morning, Rosie. Always a delight to join Rosie Wright and her brilliant producer, Andrew Wright, as well. So two Wrights to make an absolutely brilliant show. It's got to be good.
Let's say, well, I think it's Helen Mirren that's somewhat stolen the show on the front pages of the paper. She looks perfect, ready to go sort of on top of the Christmas tree. Just like so sparkly.
I absolutely love it. Growing old disgracefully, Helen is superb. And I think she had a perfect picture and a wonderful description about that sort of crimped, frizzy hair. It's superb. I love it.
You have to have a look at this photograph in the Times as well, because it's brilliant. But let's get on with the proper news, Andrew, and let's not talk about it for too long, because I think there's sort of collective despair. There's particular despair in the north. What do you make of this? We still haven't had, the words come out of the Prime Minister's mouth that says, that rail line that we promised you, it isn't going where we said it would.
Well, the HS2 is more than a railway, is what they promised. By joining up Britain, we will build a fairer, more balanced country. And this is going to be the poster, boy, girl, whatever, to do with levelling up. And obviously many of today's papers are dominated by the growing concerns that people have about the plans for HS2. It's Manc robbery is what the Met screams. And you've got Mayor Burnham's furious HS2 is to end in Birmingham. And the problem is this: it's cost an absolute fortune. And what Rishi's predicted to say is that they're going to be using the money elsewhere. And the devil will be in the detail, but certainly it's one of the hot topics for this particular thing, and it's been left to Rishi to break the news in his speech, if in fact he's going to do that.
Yeah, which will be tomorrow. He could, of course, tell broadcasters in his interviews today. We'll wait to see on that, and I'm really sorry to say I think this time tomorrow we're going to be discussing HS2 again. The person who has stolen quite a lot of the column inches in the papers this morning is Liz Truss, and the Times sort of analysis here is that she returned to the conference stage unrepentant about her chaotic leadership last year, and she certainly was garnered a lot of interest. People were very interested to know what she was going to say.
Oh, absolutely. And as you say, she's been the darling. There's a brilliant picture of her laughing away on the front page saying, look, this is the biggest draw of the conference. And she's returned to the conference stage unrepentant about her chaotic leadership last year. And corporation tax go down, 500,000 new houses to be built each year. That's what she's calling for. And this is the sort of reception she probably dreamt of last year when she was denied that amid the immediate fallout from her mini budget. And hundreds of party faithful went there. And as you said earlier in the show, the rest of the conference seemed a bit tame in comparison. But she certainly come out on that sort of basis. She also talked about GB News. She praised about that, saying plan to make Britain grow again. Interesting stuff, and all sorts of the heavyweights from Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg to Dame Priti Patel were all there in the audience cheering her on.
Yeah, Patel said we can't accept the status quo. Some who are more critical of Liz Truss think that maybe there's a moment to just have some dignified silence after the chaos of last year. A year on, Andrew, what's your perspective of her time?
Well, I think it all went wrong when choosing the music that she did to come on to, moving on up by 1993 people. And like a lot of these politicians, they don't really listen to the lyrics. In that one, the glorious lyrics, "You've done me wrong, your time is up, you took a sip from the devil's cup." Those are the lyrics of moving on up. And I'm very interested to see what Rishi might pick for his coming on music. We always remember Theresa May strutting on stage to ABBA's Dancing Queen. Maybe Rishi can get peace trained by Cat Stevens, who I used to represent years ago, in light of what's happening with HS2. But interesting stuff, yes. I think this has become a bit of a distraction, and I'm sure that Rishi behind the scenes is not too happy about it.
Actually, that's a good idea. If you've got a suggestion for the best music for Rishi Sunak to walk onto stage with, then I'd love to have your suggestion. You can text me 87222, start your message with the word Times. You can buy some fairly awful merchandise at the Conservative Party conference, Andrew.
Well, you say you can buy. I'm surprised when your Christmas present appears from me. Conservative themes Curiosity are on sale, from a Margaret Thatcher Christmas jumper to Keir Starmer's flip-flops, which I love, which come in red. So the Thatcher jumper is £25, and it bears the slogan,
quite a cheap jumper, really.
Oh, absolutely. No, ho, ho, ho. Oh, it's a nod to her pivotal speech on Europe. And there's also, as I say, these wonderful, there's a little blank notebook with the old gag about Labour's top secret leak plan for the country, and obviously it's completely blank inside. So it's wonderful stuff out there, and I'm sure it will do very well. What's missing, however, which is a bit strange, is that there's no Rishi Sunak merchandise, which is strange, because obviously Liz Truss had some stuff there last year.
Well, whoever's in charge of that, maybe they're busy trying to work out how to build a rail line before they sort of make a pretend, whatever it is, a bust or whatever they sell in the shop. Let's move on. On the front page of the Times, this story is really interesting. Our passport database, so Britain's passport database, there's 45 million people on it, are going to be used now to help catch shoplifters, burglars, car and bike thieves under what we're being told are sort of game-changing plans to tackle property crime. What do you know of the plans, Andrew?
Well, what I know, the plan is database of 45 million people will be used to help catch shoplifters, burglars and various other people. They talk about this as being game-changing. And obviously that we're probably one of the most recorded countries in the world in terms of CCTV footage and so on and so forth. And combining that with my pet baby about artificial intelligence, you can combine a tremendous database to identify people, not just from their image, but how they walk and so on and so forth. There are big questions, obviously, about data and privacy and that. But they will defend that and say, look, hang about, things like the TikTok riots on Oxford Street, you can prevent a lot of that with basically identifying these people beforehand. Certainly, people will describe these plans as Orwellian, which indeed they are. But it's going to turn around and assist the prevention of crime as a result of using this great technology.
So there's sort of two sides to this. So the policing minister, the crime and policing minister said, look, what he wants to do is integrate the data from the police national database with what the passport office have. So at one button, and they want this system in place within the next 2 years, if someone was caught on CCTV and they had a British passport, you'd be able to work out who they were immediately, even if they'd never committed a crime before. And so in terms of sort of tackling crime, that might be a slightly better way of identifying the people who had burgled if they were caught on camera. But there are concerns, Andrew. Civil liberties groups said the move would mark a worrying and oppressive move towards mass surveillance. Describe the plans as Orwellian. Which side of this do you come down on?
Well, I think it's not plans. This is what we've got already. As I say, we're the most photographed and recorded people in history. We have on average across the whole country, it's anticipated you've got about 70 times a day CCTV footage is going to capture you. And it's not just about existing criminals. The problem with AI, and one of the problems, is about bias. And it will predict certain people and might have a bias against them about their likelihood to commit crime. And I think from that point of view, I think that's particularly worrying. But the benefits will be if it can stop, then let's have a look at that sort of side. But we're already being monitored. So the people saying it's going to monitor us even more, I think it's just how we monitor and how we basically join the dots with the technology.
There is another AI story in the paper, in the Telegraph this morning, and it's of Tom Hanks. He posted an Instagram story saying, beware, there's a video out there promoting some dental plan with an AI version of me. I have got nothing to do with it. We knew things like this would happen, and here we go. We're having stories of them already.
The tooth, the whole tooth, and nothing but the tooth. Absolutely. Tom Hanks. Thank you. He's warned about this. There are lots of this stuff. There's lots of this AI fake things. We had the Pope in a puffer jacket. You've got Trump being arrested, or I think that might have happened. You've also got other aspects as well, where you had Zelensky surrendering to Putin in fake videos. AI is tremendously powerful, and we are going to get fooled and fooled time and time again. And it's not just artists, but also identity theft and so on and so forth. Rather than getting these emails that people are getting saying, I'm lost in a jungle somewhere, please send lots of money, you can get videos now and people's voices being recorded. And in fact, Mark Zuckerberg announced in his big conference last week that they want to use celebrity AI bots to entertain users. And he's basically signed up about 28 different people, from Snoop Dogg to Naomi Osaka, who you can correspond with. It is a great way for artists to make money if they license it properly. And I previously spoke about Bruce Willis, who has aphasia at the moment. But what happened is he was licensed his name and image and indeed his voice to a Russian telecom company for millions of dollars. And can still earn money even though he can no longer act himself. And Tom Hanks himself, you might remember the Polar Express, that great movie. He basically licensed his image in that sort of situation.
In a quite specific
so
context,
really powerful.
though. I mean, Andrew, would you sell a license of yourself? You could do pay-per-reviews on every broadcast all at the same time.
I thought that's what I have done. This is not me at all. But that is the future. You can, absolutely. And equity and SAG-AFTRA over in the States, AI is front and center of the big dispute to do with actors at the moment, because you can do one day's recording and they could use you forever. What I always urge people, and I talk to people around the world, as you know, on this, is come to a commercial arrangement, understand what the technology can do, and you can do this. You won't have to get up at 3:30 in the morning to look at the papers and go through them all until you work. It can all be done for you.
I mean, I go to work at all. There's actually another story in the Telegraph that says the JP Morgan boss has said that AI will advance human health and allow for a 3.5-day working week. So, maybe in some ways AI is going to make my lives easier, but also more challenging in others. Andrew, we've had a suggestion in already about the music that Rishi Sunak should walk on to. Let's have a listen. Do you know what it is, Andrew?
It's a bit muffled, I think.
It is Thomas the Tank Engine, the theme tune.
Yay! I thought it was. The runaway train is coming down the track. All of those sort of things you could have. There's some glorious.
I do think it's a tricky. How would you advise a government minister about what to come on to? It can go very wrong. But do you think,
it can.
In hindsight, Theresa May was quite charming? Dancing Queen?
Well, she was. I was very endorsing on that sort of thing. Well, it's wonderful. And the artists concerned always get a bit grumpy about it. So the Rolling Stones had a long-running battle with Donald Trump. You might remember, you can't always get what you want as his walk-off music at rallies. And I think Jimmy Percy of Sham 69, he took umbrage about Labour's use of The Kids Are All United at the 2005 conference. Wake Me Up Before You Go would be a good one, I think, for that.
If you've got a suggestion, I'd love to hear it. Text me 87222. Start your message with the word Times. Thomas the Tank Engine, the first one to come in, and we can play them throughout the programme. Andrew, thank you so much. Andrew Eborn, barrister, broadcaster and futurist. Thank you so much for your time going through the papers. Right now, it is 5:30. Let's get the latest news with Cara Bentley.
Across the UK, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker. This is Times Radio.
Thanks, Rose.